Welcome back. Yes, indeed. It's football. The reverse fixture of Nigeria versus Libya. Not supposed to be Libya versus Nigeria. It was supposed to be in Benghazi. But there's been a twist to this. You've seen the Super Eagles captain, William Troost Ekong, has been tweeting about their recent development, their recent experience. And he did say in series of tweets, which is all over the place now, he says, I've experienced stuff before playing away in Africa, but this is disgraceful behavior. Even the Tunisian pilots, who thankfully managed to navigate the last-minute change to an airport not fit for a plane to land, had never seen something like this before. So that's the first one anyway. It says 12 hours plus in an abandoned airport in Libya after a plane was diverted whilst descending. Libyan government rescinded our approved landing in Benghazi with no reason. They've locked the airport gates and left us without a phone connection, food or drink, all to play mind games. He says, at this point, we've called for our Nigerian government to intervene and rescue us. As a captain, together with the team, we have decided that we will not, in caps, play this game. CAF should look at the report and what is happening here. Even if they decide to allow this kind of behavior, let them have the points. We will not accept to travel anywhere by road, here, or even with security. It's not safe. We can only imagine what the hotel or food will be like given to us if we continued. We respect ourselves and respect our opponents when they are our guests in Nigeria. Mistakes happen, but these things on purpose have nothing to do with international football. But there's been a statement from the Minister of Sports. The title here says Senator John Owa-Eno condemns the actions of Libyan authorities holding hostage the Super Eagles and officials at Al-Akbak Airport. He said the Honorable Minister of Sports Development, Senator John Owa-Eno, has strongly condemned the recent actions of Libyan authorities who held the Nigerian Super Eagles and the officials hosted at Al-Akbak Airport. This incident occurred after the Nigerian aircraft, originally en route to Benghazi, was diverted to another city over a 2-hour drive from the intended destination just an hour before landing. This diversion caused significant distress to the Super Eagles team, officials, and support staff who were left stranded and subjected to unnecessary delays. The Honorable Minister expressed deep concern over the poor treatment of the team, particularly as they were in Libya for an international engagement. Such actions, he goes on to say, by the Libyan authorities are deeply disturbing and completely unacceptable. Holding our national team and officials hostage under any circumstances violates not only international sporting protocols, but also the principles of respect and hospitality that should be extended to all visiting teams. The Nigerian government will not tolerate any form of disrespect or mistreatment toward our players and officials, he stated. So he's going to say they'll be working with the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and Internationals as well to see how they can ensure that things move on smoothly. So we've got, as you've seen in that welcoming slide, Idah Peterside, former Super Eagles keeper, joining us virtually to weigh in on this matter. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today. So, wow, one can imagine, if you were in these shoes, what would you do?
Well, it's quite unfortunate, that the Libyans have taken this more than we expected. This is not a war. We're not at war. It's sport. And then before the game, they had threatened to do this to us because they were complaining that we didn't treat them well when they came to Nigeria. But we need to clear the Nigerian aspect first before we talk about what's happening in Libya. When they called that they were coming in, there was communication with the NFF and the Libya Federation that they were coming to play the game. And they had told the NFF that they were going to land in Lagos. And while they landed, that they would land in Lagos, but there was this communication to them that they should not land in Lagos, they should go to Uyo directly. And had cars and had protocol to wait for them in in Uyo. They only landed in Port Harcourt. Now, when they landed in Port Harcourt, the private jet that they came had to go back, and they needed to go from Uyo from Port Harcourt to Uyo. But the NFF were not expecting them in Uyo. So they were angry. And so they had to drive. Quite unfortunately, the roads are terrible from here to Uyo. So they drove about 2-3 hours, and they said they were going to take revenge, which is exactly what they are trying to do. But this is sports. It's not fair. We had already spoken to them, cleared the air that the mistake was coming from the Libya Federation. And it's quite unfortunate that we're still dealing with such issues in 2024. While we were playing, these things were rampant. If we remember a trip we went to in Congo, we got to Congo, and they took us to an army barrack, army airstrip. From that army airstrip, we stayed there in Congo for about 4 hours. And from there, now they had to use this Hercules plane that they go to war with to be able to move us to go and play the game in Congo. These things used to happen some 10, 15 years ago. It's quite unfortunate that in this time, we need to call the Libyan Federation to order. Some of us are already sending message to those in charge of CAF, and it's been a habit. They've been doing this. We're not migrants, trying to cross the sea and go look for greener pastures. This is the Super Eagles. It's the Nigerian national team. That team represents the whole of Nigeria and should be treated with respect. This must go to CAF and FIFA. Something must be done. I hear a decision has been taken that they should not play the game. It's even more than that, Chamberlain. What is happening now is that they are saying this is 17 hours now. As at the last few minutes I spoke to Libya, they are saying that the plane cannot even leave Al-Abad airport. That the players must now join a bus and drive to Benghazi. This is a war territory. It's a war zone. They are not even allowing them to leave.
So we're held hostage.
Yes, we've been held hostage. They were held hostage. They say you can only go by road, that the airport is not functional. It's supposed to be for Hajj, people that go for Hajj.
So why did they allow us land there then?
Because they wanted to revenge. They wanted, because the plane was almost landing in Benghazi. And they tried to, for no reason. Ironically, there's a game being played by Sudan. Sudan is playing, I think, Ethiopia, somebody there. They allowed them to land in Benghazi. And these guys are playing in Benghazi. They're playing in Benghazi today, I suppose. And the Super Eagles will play tomorrow. So they are holding our team hostage and asking them not to begin to travel by road from the city where the plane landed and go to Benghazi. We all heard of Benghazi war. Who forgets that there were shootings and killings and all the terrorism going there.
Okay.
Imagine the Super Eagles Nigerian team going on that road without security.
So the thing is this, on the part of Nigeria, probably CAF as well, when this came up, was it that Nigeria had no objections about playing in Libya, or is it that we played in Libya before, but ever since this scenario came up, this war situation in Libya, shouldn't we have at least said something to CAF that, look, we're not exactly sure if it's a good idea to play?
You know, in some years ago, they were not allowed to play their games in Libya. But things have quieted down. You see, the games are not being played in Tripoli because they have basically three governments. They have three governments in Libya, and it's in Benghazi that it's more stable. Benghazi is more stable, it's more friendly. The stadiums there are quite professional. So they don't play in Tripoli, so they play in Benghazi. So after a while, FIFA approved that Benghazi can be used for games. That's why every team goes to play there in Benghazi. But our players, the government must do something. I don't know what they will say. They will have a private jet there from Value Jet. I think they hire Value Jet every time they make this trip. And the Value Jet plane is still there. And they've not allowed the plane to leave. They've not allowed the players to get into the plane. It's 17 hours. And you know that this, the fortunate thing for the players, some of them, is that they live in Europe. And it's winter there. So if you see the boys, they're all covered up wearing shorts and they are at the airport, they can't change, no hot water, no food. Secondly, most times when we go for these games, we have to move our own meals, carry our own food. They have confiscated the food. Every food we brought into Nigeria, we brought into Libya, they have seized them. They've seized the meals. They've sent me pictures of security men, confiscating our food. It's just unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable.
So, at this point, is it that CAF, what can CAF likely do here? Because if this is allowed to happen in African football, then I don't know what else to say about it.
Chairman, this is not about football anymore. This is gone beyond football. You are holding a nation hostage. So even if you call CAF will have to speak to some government official, the president and all that. So why don't we boycott CAF and speak to the presidency or their embassy here and then let the players come out? Someone just asked me, do you expect the players to play? No, we can't play. The game is tomorrow. The venue of the game is still in Benghazi.
Yeah, but so how can they play with this mindset? If they are being treated this way, no food, no drinks, psychological, how can they be comfortable enough to play? Who knows what will happen to them if they go into that Benghazi?
If the NFF president allows them to play, when he comes in, we arrest him immediately because this is sabotage. These players can't play. You know these jet lag things people talk about. When we are home, we never understood it. When you travel this far distance, your legs are in shoes, your legs are in canvases and all that. There's no blood flow, And this evening, by the rules and by the laws, they are supposed to limber up. They're supposed to be at the stadium and is trying to stretch themselves to remove the fatigue. Then tomorrow morning, they will take a long walk. That long walk is just to allow the blood to flow from the brain to the head before the game. They've not allowed them to do this. Therefore, they are not physically, mentally fit to play, and the players should be put in the next available jet, whatever it is, and brought back home.
What if CAF says we lose the 3 points? Would that be acceptable to us?
Well, we've written, I think by now they would have done a letter to CAF. It's unacceptable. The conditions are there, pictures are there. Even if they said we lose the 3, but we can still qualify. We are top of the league. We have 1 or 2 more games to play.
No, but we should be able to contest that. It means if we are allowed to lose the 3 points, it means in a way we're tacitly saying this behavior is acceptable.
Acceptable. It's not just that. Rivers United went to play. If you hear the tales, we're in an African group where top African journalists are. The stories there are unacceptable. So other countries are complaining. What is this? Sudan, not Sudan, the one with Ghana Drown is there. They're complaining about the treatment these Libyans are melting out to different teams. They must be called to order. They have to be
But why
sanctioned.
is CAF not doing anything? Are they incompetent or something? This is not right.
That's what we're saying. It's the North Africans. Unfortunately, North Africans run football in Africa. It's the North Africans, the Algerians, the Moroccans, and Egyptians.
So can the rest of Africa come together and say this is unacceptable? They are not lords.
We are doing that. This is. We wait for them to take the decisions, and we will see, because we must complain, and the noise is louder. Every day for the thief, one day for the owner. This time it has turned out that way. The complaints that are coming up from what's happening in Libya is generational. So we need to deal with this issue and make sure that, look, our government must sit up. They are holding our players, 35 Nigerians or thereabout, hostage. You see, plus journalists. So a lot of people are just seeing the players. You have board members in that place. You have doctors. You have curators. You have journalists that they traveled with. So it's not just the 23 players. We're talking about close to 40 Nigerians that are being held hostage in a foreign airport. We must get them out now.
Well, I'm looking at, looking at the papers this morning, and I'm also seeing here that it doesn't appear that Libya too is in order. Not making any excuses for them, but there are no excuses to be made for the kind of behavior that we've seen. But here's what we're saying now. Ahead of Eagles clash tomorrow, Libya in disarray as FA president resigns. So it does appear that they also have their own internal issues, rocking their own FA. Do you think that could also have any effect on what is currently happening with our Super Eagles now?
Well, that's internal. I hear they've not been winning a lot of games, and the pressure has been. The coach is my friend. They call him Micho. Micho spoke to me while Nigeria was playing against Libya. You know, they fired him a week before the game against Nigeria. So they've just sacked their coach. And I think the pressure is on the FA president that the Libyan side is not doing well. You know, he is just a figurehead. Every other thing on there should be working. In this particular case, I think when they got into Nigeria, when we played against them here, they had reports. Their newspapers and TV cameras were relaying evil news back to Libya. They were complaining. I saw one of the interviews of the captain. He said, "We will avenge what people have done to us." And the media guy asked him, "What did we do?" He said, "You abandoned us in Port Harcourt because we were not expecting them to land in Port Harcourt." Then they came with 3 batches. You know, quite unfortunate. They had to take some smaller buses, 3 of them from Port Harcourt to Uyo, and they complained that it was a neglect. But the NFF came out and said, "No. The landing point, you communicate, FS communicate, secretaries communicate. Our flight is leaving at so time, we will land here so. That's how it's done in international football."
Yes, but how did that sort of mistake even? I mean, this is not to, you know, as I said, it's not to justify what has happened to our own team, but how did that kind of mistake happen? When it's not like I said, the flight was diverted mid-air. How do you land in Port Harcourt when you are supposed to be going to Uyo?
No, the information, you know, you need to look at how they look at us outside. Everybody knows Lagos and Abuja. Now, if you're playing in a different city, most times by the laws here, they would get to Lagos first. I think that's what they did. You need to get to Lagos first. And when you clear whatever you need to clear, then, because it's not a flight there's an international flight that can leave from their location straight to, because of security. You don't know what they're carrying. So most times, when international games like this, you either will fly to Abuja and you fly to Lagos to get clearance for the international process to take place. And you take responsibility. What happens is the FA, if you're not playing in the capital city, the FA will take responsibility. Well, the NFF were ready because they said to us that they had contingents there. They had protocol officers there. They were supposed to now clear them out there and then move them to Uyo, right? So they did get to Lagos. They got to Lagos, but didn't come out, and they flew from Lagos to Uyo, Port Harcourt. I don't know what the mix-up is all about. So they're very bitter about it and are planning on taking their revenge.
Well, it's really a shame what happened in Nigeria, and I'm sure a bigger disgrace what is going on in Libya right now with how our team is being handled. If what you're saying, the fact that we're being held hostage is correct, then the question is, how do we get out of there? Because even if you say you want to come home now, the chances are very high that they might say, you're not going to go. Maybe you'll be forced to play this game. How do you think we can get out of that place, you know, without any issues?
They can't force us to play. We are humans. You have to tie our boots and all that. It's not diplomatic. This is beyond football. It's beyond CAF. It's a diplomatic issue. The government must speak to the ambassador here for the players to be evacuated. It's as simple as that. It's a government thing. The minister says it's on it. He has to speak to the presidency or whoever is involved, and these players must be evacuated.
Ayo.
Thank you, Maokwe. So, one of the questions that's been on my mind all the while has been just this main issue of what should the Libyan government do about this matter? Because, as you said, it's become more beyond something that's beyond sports now. Is now a lot more about diplomacy. What would you recommend that the Libyan government or the Nigerian government should be saying to the Libyan government, particularly about this particular issue?
We don't want to play anymore. We can play. So let us go. Now, they are not allowing us to go. You see what I'm saying? We've already sent.
I'm actually looking beyond. I'm actually looking beyond the issue of of playing the match and all. I'm looking at a higher level of government to government now, a G2G kind of communication about this particular. What informed it in the first place, or what should the Libyan government be doing? What should the Nigerian government be doing about this one now? The minister has spoken. Can we say that that is a statement of the federal government on this matter? How should we be engaging the Libyan government on this issue now?
Yeah, they obviously, I'm not into diplomacy, but they must look for the ambassador. There must be an ambassador here and get across to him, for him to get across to their government to say, let our players go. Just let them leave the country. And I think, these are countries, this diplomacy. One phone call, okay, release the plane and I hope they even have diesel or I don't know what they use, jet fuel there, for the plane to be able to move directly from that small airport out of the country. It's diplomatic. Call the minister here, the ambassador here, to get across to the ambassador. Just let our players go. We don't want to play anymore. We don't want to do. Just let them go. I think at that level, that's what they need to begin to talk about.
Well, Chamberlain, I would say that, on the one hand is this issue of, being sports. On the other hand, I'm wondering how this kind of thing would happen within Africa. You cited that the other time. Is this the kind of orientation that is going on within the African Union? One wonders.
This one is personal by the Minister of Sports himself. And part of that statement says, all through the night, I have escalated the matter and involved all necessary authorities from the Foreign Affairs Ministry, the National Security Advisor, the DGNIA, Amaju Pinnick, our CAF executive member. I have also remained in touch with both the president of the NFF, who is on ground with the team, and the chairman of ValueJet, owners of the plane that airlifted the team to Libya. All hands must be on deck to protect our national team. He goes on to say, as sports minister, I have instructed the NFF president to lay a formal complaint to CAF without prejudice to any actions already taken. This must be on record and thoroughly investigated. Mr. Peterside, this is signed by the Minister of Sports himself. So I think it's about time. And probably, who knows, it might be, for a long time before Nigeria decides to ever step foot to play any match in Libya, because now, which government are we talking about now? 3 groups laying claim. The one group refuses tomorrow, the other doesn't agree. So it's always dangerous going to those kind of places.
Yes, it is. It is. Well, again, thank you to the minister. I'd already gotten the press release he made. It's actions now. We're following, we're speaking to the guys there. It is 17 hours, it's already 17 hours. Obviously, there will be toilets and all that, but they're not taking their shower. They're trying to see how they can make do with the kind of food, but they already confiscated their food. So it's a very bad situation. And the minister and all those involved should do something speedily.
Yes, indeed. At that point, we'll leave it. It doesn't matter if they say they run football. No, they cannot run. They don't own football on the continent. So a lot more should be done, unless, of course, the rest of Africa are okay with what's going on. I want to thank you for joining us this morning, Idah Peterside.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All right, so there you go. That is it today. On the program, we'll be looking to see what next steps are taken. But above all else, the Super Eagles must be gotten out of that disgraceful and unacceptable situation almost immediately, one might add. Well, thank you all for watching. We'll see you again next time. I'm Chamberlain Oso. Goodbye.
Indeed. Thank you. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf. Have a productive day.
And a productive week. I'm Ayo Makinde.